So we're gonna practice the how to use the MSstat again with the example data what you practiced this morning. You already used some Google the group comparison function in Skyline, but we are not go through this that way. We just export the MSstat require format and then go through the whole MSstat analysis in R itself. So if you have any difficulty, please let know. The TA will help you. So people who are just downloading this, just to remind ourselves, and then just people who haven't heard about the MSstat workflow, this is the summarized workflow. So this is the whole workflow we have to do. We have to design our experiment for your research, and then we need to measurement, and then computational, and then statistical step, and then biological interpretation we needed. And for this step, we also think about what is the hypothesis, of say, development and condition and processing, and then analysis. And within this analysis step, we can also have various steps to reach our final goal to get a p-value. So we can get the raw data. Here's raw data means the data from the spectral processing tool with the quantified peaks data. And then start with that. We also need to several steps for data cleaning. It might be different across the different processing tools. And after that, we need to do a little bit tidy data to make a required format to MSstat. And then through the MSstat, we should use the potential statistical model and then summary of the statistic, and then we finally reach the p-value. So hold this step. There are quite a lot of the steps involved, even for statistical analysis. Whole step we can go through the MSstat. And here is for whole work on that workflow, we can use a 3 functions in MSstat. The first one is Skyline to MSstat format. So as we mentioned, it is really depending on your processing tools. If you have an open source, you can use open source to MSstat format. If you have a Spectronaut, you can use Spectronaut to MSstat format, and so on. So this workflow is the same for DDA and DIA too. And after we got the required format and MSstat, we're going to use the data processing function. Within the data processing, we go through the multiple steps. For example, transformation, and then normalization, and then imputation, and then summarization step. And then after that, we'll go through the group comparison functions. So what we are gonna do, let's just start to open the R Studio. And then go to the directory where you save the zip file. So I will go to this folder, P7 capstone date to Choi folder, and then I will set this folder as a working directory. So just to save the time, here is the R script. It actually have a quite long but actually I repeat the same analysis with a different annotation. So originally it should be less than 100 code with a lot of the comment. So first, what you have to do is you need to load the required package. So if you unzip this file, this one is, so we have to go this folder. So here, this folder, and then you have to set the working directory here. Click more, and then set working directory. So in this folder, under the data, there are 4 files because we practice 2 different equipment. So each input is from one example data, and then I make annotation data. So we're going to practice this one too. I will start with the QE data. So first step, I need to read our data, line 8, and then it should have this number of the rows. Okay? Everyone has a row data here. If you have an issue, please put the red stickers. So you can open this R file and then run up to row line 8. Okay. So that means we read the MSstats report from Skyline 1. Then let's check it. So as always, I just check the how this raw file look like. So it has a protein name. Okay, this protein name, they have a IRT peptide here. Okay, and then peptide modified sequence, precursor charge, and so on, and condition, and replicate, file names, area, and so on. This is what exactly same as what we saw before. And then here, I just want to double check, so how many proteins we have. Because you already practiced this one. This one has a 12 unique protein ID, include IRT 1. We can just use something else, like length of unique row protein names. Length. So 12. And then this function, distinct function, we showed what the protein names, 12 protein names. So here you can see, first one is IRT, and then there are 4 E. coli proteins, and here we have a 3 human protein, and then here is 4 yeast proteins. So just to remind ourselves, so here's the ratio between 2 groups. So there are 2 conditions, A and B, and then we have an E. coli, we have a human, we have a yeast. So the ratio is, the human is, they actually have a same amount between this condition, and the yeast is 1 to 2, and then E. coli is 4 to 1. Okay. And then I will just double check, so how many the unique peptide they include. So n distinct. This is also same as length unique. There are 148. And then this one is show also the unique peptide and then fragment. And then here's a total 887 unique features include. And then this one's distinct from row. What is the unique information of condition, biological replicate, and then file names? Just double check we have correct annotation information. So here's the, let's see. If people already attend the last module, I just very emphasize about the annotation, right? So here's our annotation. So here we have a 6 run, and then we have a 2 different condition. And then here is our biological replicate annotation. So if I don't have any information about design of experiment, if I see this one, and then I can interpret like this one, we have a 3 biological replicate, and then each replicate measured in 2 groups. So basically, one subject have 2 different conditions. That is my interpretation for this one, right? So let's see like how it goes. And then here is, I just double checked what kind of the standard type we have. Here it shows we have IRT standard peptide we have. And then here, total, the number of rows for this data set have 6,264 rows and then 13 variations. Then this is the line, 13.4. We want to transform the Skyline report to MSstats required format. As I mentioned, we have several steps of cleaning the data and then just reformatting and so on. So I run this, and then it reports several things. So first, it says IRT protein or peptide is removed, and then peptide have the shared peptide is removed, and then truncate peaks are replaced by NA, and then based on the Q value, we actually place the Q value is higher than 0.01, replaced with the 0, and then 31 feature have all NA after we apply the Q value, so we are gonna completely remove these features. And after that, the 47 features have a very few measurement, 1 or 2 measurement across the MS run. So we said, we're gonna remove this feature too for analysis. Then I will just double check again this output of the Skyline, converter function, which will be used for our next analysis. So head is really similar, but let's see. Before we had 12 proteins. And now we have 11 because we removed the IRT 1. And let's double check here. Yes, now we don't have IRT, and here's the E. coli and human yeast protein we have. And here's a 132 unique peptide left. Before we have 140. We have 148 unique peptide, several peptides removed. And here, so the peptide and fragment combination, so number of the feature, we have 759 features before we have more than 800 and so on. So just we can see there are several information we remove, we filter out, and then clean it up. Then, and let's go to the line 64. So first what I did when I read the data processing, just double checked our number of the protein and peptide and so on, double checked our annotation, and then double checked that they're missing value because it can be sometimes a difference. So as I briefly mentioned before, Skyline can distinguish 2 different missing value. So here's the, we can count actually how many different type of missing value we have. So here, I just count how many NA value we have. So I have this data set have a 7 NA value. And then here, in this case, in this data set, we have 148 0 value, which we are gonna input it, and so on. And then here's the main step for line 72. So main function data processing. So from our input, we are not gonna do the normalization because there are three different normalization functions that the option provided in MSstat. One is the equalize median, quantile normalization, and then use the global standard, right? Here we don't have a global standard in this case. And then for quantile normalization or the equalized median, we actually have a very strong assumption, like the major number of the proteins not changed across the MS run. However, this case, we have only 11 proteins. And then among the 11, more than half have this much ratio is changing. So our assumption for these two types of normalization is not suitable anymore. So in this case, we are gonna not do the normalizations. So normalization should be false. And then the sensor int 0 means 0 value, we will impute it. And then we are gonna impute it and then summarize it with the TMP.
So if you were using not just these 11 proteins, but the whole proteome, you would normalize based on the median?
So you mean that our default option equalize the median? Yes. So across the whole the protein. Yeah.
But just because it's a small subset.
But here's only subset. In this data, we have only whole protein means just 11 proteins, right? So we are not going to do this. Then, so it's done, but report several things. So here, 146 intensity, actually we count. This is a 0 value, so we're going to do something, and then we define the internal cutoff for sensor gain, and then there are 11 proteins and so on, and there are two different groups, A and B, and there are 3 runs for each, and then this step is done. Then yeah, right. So here we do not normalize this data set. This one is how we get comparable. So let's go through and then let's come back to your question, okay? Then let's try to draw the QC plot. Let's draw the QC plot here. Previously, actually, we put the address here, like any name we want. Then you are gonna save the QC plot under your folder. Like this. So here, this is we do not normalize do not normalize at all. Like this is just original data across the 11 proteins. And then A and B, and then box plot across the whole 11 proteins here. So here you can see there are some changes between A and B, right? But for normalization, at this moment, we don't have any assumption for suitable assumption for this 11 protein, so we are not gonna do this one here. But actually, you can see they're actually very slightly different between this line here and then this line here and so on. Then, after that, we are drawing the profile plot to look at all the individual cases. So here, I want to draw the profile plot for all 11 proteins. That it showed all the progress there. Then now you should have 2 PDF files. Then here, this is the profile plot PDF, and this one is summarization plot. So this is for this protein from E. coli, and then there are two panels, group A and group B. And E. coli, A should be higher. This is the original scale. So log for changes should be 2 to 1. Basically, we expect across here and here 2, like amount of the 2, we should expect that there are difference. And then this is original plot, and there are quite large number of the features are there, and there are some missing value, the 0 value here. And then this is the summarized value. So the gray one is just same as before, and then this red line is summarized value after imputation for missing value, and then based on the two key median subvalidations. Yes?
How do you impute missing value?
Sorry?
How do you impute missing value?
So that one we already covered for the other, like the last module. Then I will be back after this one. Okay. And then this one is also E. coli proteins. And then here's the human protein. So human protein, we expect they should have an equal amount. It's quite flat, right? And then how about the other one, the yeast one? Okay, E. coli, human, and then this is the yeast. This is the yeast. So B should be higher than A, and then you can see they are quite higher, right? So this is just a visualization before we go to the next step. So here's the whole, the 11 proteins there, right? Then let's go to this one. So next step is we want to compare between these two groups, A and B. So to compare these two groups, we need to assign the contrast matrix. So first, I want to double check. So how many condition, and then what is the order of the condition information we have. So I just run this level, just double check the level of this data, and then A and B. And then I want to compare B minus A, right? B minus A. So I make a 2 spot, and then this is the A position, and then this is the B position. So I just put the constant for this equation. So it should be minus 1 and A. So I run this line, and then run the group comparison line. Okay. Then I made a volcano plot. Here is my volcano plot. So I just compare B and A, and we know the answer. The human protein should not change, and the E. coli and the yeast sample should change. So here you can see all 4 yeast proteins are found as significant here. And then here's E. coli protein also, we found this is significant here. And then we also found these human proteins. Actually, it should not change, right? But based on this 0.05, we actually found the false positive value, 1 false positive value. Okay? Then, I will show you I just made a little bit a line here. The goal is, so this volcano plot is just default volcano plot in MSstats. But I just want to make a little bit different visualization, but use the same output, same output. So here I just run, and then what is the result? The result is just a result from test, the group comparison one. And with this, I just want a little bit change for volcano plot. So next line is I just want to make another 1 column, which include the species information, yeast, human, or E. coli, and then make the dot for each protein dot by their species. So and then it will be very easy to see where actually they are located. So I run this line, and after that, the result, last column, this last column have a species information. So E. coli and human and yeast and so on. So when we use this information and use the ggplot, we are gonna make a color by this species. Okay. Then here is the line. So I will use the ggplot. Okay, then I need to library first. Okay, I need to library ggplot2. And then from result, I put the x-axis, the log2 for changes on the x-axis, and then on just p-value on the y-axis, and then I change the dot color by species. And then first, I draw it like this. Just put the dot here. Okay, I just run first two lines like this. And then now you can see, okay, here is the E. coli group, and then here's the human group, and then here's the yeast group there. And here I just changed the y-axis 0 to 4.6. I will tell you why I just defined this one. But I just changed the range of the y-axis like this. And then just put the horizontal line for 0.05 cutoff, and then change the background one. So now let's try to remember, or we can come back how it looked like. So here we can double check the human is above this line, not significant. And here's the yeast group, and then here's the E. coli. What I'm gonna do next is I want to change annotations. Previously what we saw, there are 3 different biological replicate, and each replicate measure condition A and B. But this is actually not what is expected. For this sample, we made a 2 sample, A and B, and then actually we just inject 3 times. This is just technical replicate. So if you go back to our folder and click data, and then click annotation file and click view, this is what I expected. So for example, here there are 3 groups, but now we have only 2 biological replicate, and then each group we have only 1 biological replicate, which means we have only 1 sample but measure 3 times, right? So different annotation. So only one thing I changed is I just changed this annotation file. However, I will go through whole analysis again. So that is from our line 130 to the end. Okay? So I will select up to 162 and run. Then I will just draw the same plot with just a second result. Here. Now, only what I change is annotation, and then this is the same range as before, just compare to what we got before and then now. Now we can see all the human proteins are significant. So one dot actually going down here, right? And then previously, this one actually around this area, right? And then actually this is going up. We found this is more significant. Right? So more, disperse each other by this. So you have to be very careful about your annotation, and then only one changes, actually the result will be different. Okay?
Can you explain
So, no, not number of the annotation itself. Okay, so then I will go back to very first again. I will go back to very first again, just first line, just to read the first one. And then here's our distinct information. This is our original information. And this is our updated annotation. Okay, so here again, for this biological replicate, we have a measure twice, right? But here, for example, biological replicate one, I will just read out this one. For this biological replicate only involve this A group, right? And then they actually say, in different run, this is just technical replicate. And then this is just technical replicate. However, in this case, here, they are paired and paired and paired. Okay? So, I think I can give you the 20 minutes. We have another new data, right? So it will be very similar, but I will just go, it will be quite similar. Only change is just input. And then you can also compare how much is difference. So if you go to our folder, try this file. TTOF R, try this R files. Okay? And then all the detail and output should be same as HTML, the same file name. Okay? Please try to run. And then here's all the explanation here. So I think from the 4:30, the Brandon will start the next data set. But for 20 minutes, please run. I will go around. And then if you have a question, let me or the TAs know.